So this is where we're going to turn a corner. So you've learned about climate change. You've learned about the issues that Long Island is facing, and you've learned about solutions. And this is where we're going to be focusing. Because remember, what happens today is just the beginning. The connections you make, the knowledge you gain, and the inspiration you feel are meant to give you the action needed once you leave here. So I am just very excited to introduce our next guest because I think she's the best thing ever. Whenever you see a news article or a TV, Adrienne Esposito is the go-to because she knows so much about Long Island's environment and she's a fighter. And she doesn't let anybody get away with misinformation, non-facts. She'll tell you the way it is. I can honestly say she's one of my dearest friends. So Adrienne holds a degree in geology and environmental science. She is the co-founder of Citizens Campaign for the Environment and the executive director. She leads public health campaigns, including protection of drinking water, surface water, remediation of plumes, stewardship of land, water, and support for large-scale renewable energy projects. Climate change is important to her, so without further ado, Miss Adrienne Esposito.
Good morning, everyone. As was said, I'm Adrienne. I'm here today to talk to you about life in the world of change. I am a professional activist. That's right. It's on my resume, professional environmental activist. There really is such a thing. And I can tell you it's fun, it's challenging, but it's not easy. I'm just going to be honest about it. One of the things I want to ask you guys, how many of you have ever gotten into a discussion or a conversation with people who don't actually see the world like you do, who don't believe in, I use that word very loosely, as if climate change is something to believe in or not. It's not. It's science. It's real. It's happening. But how many of you had conversations with people who don't understand the science and think climate change is natural? It's fake. It's a hoax. It's a misunderstanding. Have you had those conversations? Aren't they fun? People say to me, I don't believe in climate change. And I go, yeah, it's not a faith-based system. Like you could believe in miracles or you could believe in God or not. That's a faith-based system. You don't say, hey, I don't believe in gravity. You know, who believes in a mysterious force pulling you to the center of the earth that you can't see, you can't smell, and you can't feel? That's what I tell them. I go, I don't believe in gravity either. And they're like, oh. So anyway, activism is about invoking change. And all of you, you don't have to be a professional activist to invoke change. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. You have to just care about the planet, care about the earth, and care about the world around you. And I want to tell you one of the greatest challenges we're facing right now is misinformation. It's rampant. What do you have to do to invoke change? 3 things. It's the magic 3 formula. Get up. I think you got that one. Stand up and speak up. Those are the 3 things to help with change. You might think, well, that sounds too easy, right? Like, big deal. What's that going to do? And I really, if you remember nothing else from what I say, I do remember this. Your words have power. Your words are actually very powerful tools in the goal of enacting change. Think about it. Words sometimes are the most powerful tool we have. Your words can inspire others. They can educate others. They can uplift. And the opposite is also true. Words can bring people down. They can spread misinformation. They can cause negativity. Words can change the future. And so I want you to understand that your words have power. How many people here have ever spoken at a public hearing or some kind of anything where you had to get up and speak? A few. Good. Oh, good. Actually, that's more than I thought. That's very good. But if you haven't, you should challenge yourself to do that because you don't need to be an expert to do that. You have to have something coherent to say. Anyway, you get up there and, just start freewheeling. But you don't have to be an expert. You could speak from the heart, and that matters as well. So 3 elements of change right there. I want you, I don't know why this slide is in there. I was much younger then. This was like 15 years ago, just so you know. One of the things that's been a big challenge to the climate change movement is advancing renewable energy. And I just had a conversation with one of your colleagues, Aliana, if she's still back there, about the issue of offshore wind. And offshore wind is one of the antidotes to climate change. Why? Because we need to get off fossil fuels in order to address climate change. That's how we're going to address climate change. What causes climate change? Right now, the burning of fossil fuels. It's the biggest culprit. Is it the only one? No. Is it the biggest one? Yes. How are we going to transition from fossil fuels to clean, safe renewables? One of the answers, again, not the only answer, is offshore wind. But alas, there's been a big misinformation. Oh, okay, this is a good one. Give the public a voice. We've been at public hearings with petitions. It wasn't even a demonstration. We just rolled out the public petitions at a hearing. Actually, it was really effective. Elected officials didn't like it, but we loved it. Okay, demonstrations, rallies, press conferences, talking to the big cheese, Senator Schumer. Okay. And then it all led to New York having a legislative mandate to transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. Right now, New York is under a mandate to have 9,000 megawatts of offshore wind and also to get an 85% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. So we are mandated in our state to make this transition happen. Oh, there's one of the authors of the bill. Hello, Mr. Engel. That was Assemblyman Engelbright, who was actually the author of one of these bills. Actually, he might be in this picture somewhere, but okay. More demonstrations. I want to get to. Okay, we went out to see. You know that from the last speaker, he only talked about one wind farm, but on Long Island, we have one working offshore wind farm. Melissa and Harrison went with us to go see it out 35 miles offshore off of the South Fork. It's called the South Fork Wind Farm. Very creative name. It's working. We just had a report released like 2 days ago saying it's actually exceeding expectations. Yay, wind. This is just a silly picture, but this powers 70,000 homes on the east end of Long Island. We have 2 more wind farms that are going to be coming online. But, oh, there we are. And we even have a picture. So the South Fork one is all the way up there. You can see it. Sunrise Wind Farm is also being constructed. That's off of the south shore of the town of Brookhaven. And then we have Empire Wind, which is off of Long Beach, but it's going to connect to Brooklyn. So there are 3 main offshore wind farms. 1 is built and 2 are in construction and should be built by the end of next year. All of these offshore wind farms, the goal is to replace the dirty fossil and old, very old fossil fuel power plants that we have with clean, safe, renewable energy. That's the plan. This is a lot of electricity that it's going to generate. Is wind power perfect? No. I would never tell you that wind power is perfect. Does wind power have some impacts to our environment? Yes. Yes, it does. But let's compare it to burning fossil fuels. And frankly, there's no comparison. Fossil fuels are killing the planet. The wind power is safer, cleaner, domestically generated energy. We don't have to worry about what's going on in other places on the globe, different wars. And also, it doesn't have any air emission and it doesn't spill anything. You hear about oil spills all the time, but have you ever heard of a wind spill? No, you have not. So all of this together is going to generate, look at that. South Fork Wind Farm, I said 70,000 homes, but Empire Wind, the one off of Long Beach, 500,000 homes. Sunrise Wind, that's the one off of the town of Brookhaven, 600,000 homes. That's a lot of clean, safe, renewable energy coming our way in just 2 more years. So we're really excited about that. Unfortunately, this has become a political issue instead of a human issue. instead of a public issue. So there's a ton of misinformation out there about offshore wind. And I mean a ton. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are believing it. So I want to give you some examples of how we battle misinformation campaigns. Whenever there is proposed change, there is opposition. People don't like change. And at first, I kind of understood it, right? Like, we don't really have wind here, although wind power is not new. Europe has been using offshore wind power for 30 years. America is just catching up. We're not inventing something. We're not on the cutting edge. We are way behind. Okay, Europe has thousands and thousands, like I think the number is about 28 or 29,000 megawatts of offshore wind already. Not America. We don't. In fact, the South Fork Wind Farm was off of New York. First offshore wind farm in the history of America, right here on Long Island. Damn, that felt good. Okay. What happens with opposition? I want you to know this. We're living this firsthand. It's a little bit brutal. I'm not going to lie to you guys, and I'm going to give you some examples. So the opposition is saying things like offshore wind pollutes more than fossil fuels. False. They're saying offshore wind pollutes the ocean. False. You know what pollutes the ocean? Oil. Oil spills pollutes the ocean. Excavating down under for oil and natural gas, that pollutes the ocean. They're saying things like it kills, wind turbines kill birds. That's somewhat true. There are some bird collisions because the wind turbines are about 1 or 2 miles up. There are some birds collisions. But let's compare that to how many birds are dying from climate change because their habitat has changed, their food source has disappeared, and they can no longer get what they need to make their transatlantic flights because of climate change. So, one of the things I just want to mention to you that their opposition is saying is that when they can't win on the science, they make it personal. They attack the messenger. And I'm going to just let you know, some of it can be brutal. People like, who are you? You're a host. So we did a little tiny video of Melissa when we went out on the boat to go see the wind farms. Harrison's next. You're not safe either, Harrison. And we put up her little video, which was really cute. Her saying offshore wind is the future. We have to fight climate change. Well, the anti-winders, we call them the Flat Earth Society, they actually don't believe in climate change. So they're like, well, climate change isn't real. You guys are stupid. You're an idiot. I've been called many, many things, as you'll see in some following slides. But what did they say about Melissa here? Let's see. Here, Joseph Blacklot. It's a hazardous waste, an environmental nightmare. The facts are what they fail to publish. Because only he knows the facts. The facts have been failed to publish. But Joseph has access to the unpublished facts. Okay. They are filled with oil and the blades can't be recycled and considered hazardous waste. This is what they say all the time. All of a sudden, people are concerned about recycling a wind turbine. No one in the history of our gosh darn planet has ever said, well, when they build that oil plant, are they going to recycle it when it comes down? And I'm not going to be for nuclear power because you're not going to be able to recycle those walls when the nuclear power plant reaches 50 years old. Not one person has ever said to me when they take down the Northport power plant, are they recycling those parts? No one. Now, all of a sudden, they have so much aggravation that you can't recycle a blade. I'm like, they didn't invent the recycling process yet because we don't have any blades. You can't invent the process for an offshore wind blade to be recycled when we don't have offshore wind in America. First, you have the material, and then you can recycle it. And they are, in fact, right now, inventing some ways to recycle the blades. But it's a new market. You can't expect it to be recycled as it becomes new. They kill birds. They kill whales. They freeze up. They do not freeze up. Okay, they have them in the North Sea. They don't make much electricity. Well, someone should tell the South Fork Wind Farm that it's not making electricity, because it is. When they broke, where did they bury them? I don't understand that part of the commentary. You don't give them funerals. I just want you to know. I don't know. Maybe you'll have to offer cremation. I don't understand. Kill whales. For the love of God, they do not kill whales. Okay? What kills whales are ship strikes, entanglement with commercial fishing gear, and believe it or not, plastic is starting to get up there also. We've had whale dying. The whales are dying. I'm not going to go into this because I only have 3 minutes left. Signs are going up, but we have spoken to marine biologists, marine mammal experts, literally across the globe. Some whales, the minke whales, are getting some kind of encephalitis, like was a swelling of the brain. They don't know what's going on with that. But the vast majority are ship strikes, these big tankers. What do we have more of going into New York City harbors? Tankers. 40% of them are carrying oil. How ironic is that? Okay, so Melissa, we took out the really nasty things they said. Because this was, here. Joe, first wind turbines are not clean energy. Thank you, Joe. Would you buy an expensive car that only started 30% or less of the time? I don't know. He made that up. Joe was how much oil is required to want to run a wind turbine? Less than it is required to run a fossil fuel power plant. Okay? Gear oil. Okay, none of that is correct. Okay. Poor Harrison. Harrison also did a wonderful video for us. And what nuclear power is the only clean, affordable energy we possess. No. Oh, we had to hide Michael Anthony's because he was such a moron. Stu Baker, it's the most expensive way to make electricity. No, nuclear power has that honor. Soy boy, I don't know what that means. Poor little naive kid. Is this satire? No, David, we're making satire out of your comment. Okay, more for fun. It's BS technology. It's unreliable like solar. Like, what the hell is wrong with people? And then some people are like, I have solar on my house and it's very reliable. I don't know what you're talking about. That's the only, now they're going after solar power, just so you know. But anyway, so nuclear power is the only clean, affordable energy. Another one, it's slow. I don't know. Let's not go over these. These are bad. Okay. Personal attacks. Oh, here's my favorite one. This is about me. I made the mistake of writing on one of the congressmen, Republican congressman who supports offshore wind, Congressman Lalota. Thank you. Thank you for the clean energy. And people are like, stop lying. You're brainwashed. You're ignorant. And here is the crescendo of all times of the arrogant comments. You're nothing but a climate cult prostitute. Just doing another trick for your paycheck. Yeah. So we were going to have T-shirts made that said, offshore wind turns me on. Okay, here's the point where I'm showing you that, okay? I'm showing you that because ignorance isn't bliss. Ignorance is dangerous. There is a misinformation campaign out there, and whenever it turns personal, you know they're not winning on the science, so now they're attacking the messenger. But don't fall for it. Don't take the bait. It took every ounce of my Italian temper to be held in and not respond to the maniac. I didn't do it because that stands alone. She looks bad, right? She looks like a classless, horrible, angry, evil soul. And so sometimes actually not using your words can be better. And this would be one of those rare examples of that. So what I want to say to you is there is a lot of misinformation. Know your facts and always do it with climate change. You know, all of the antidotes, whether it's renewable energy, whether it's driving less, transportation. Yeah, they all cost money. We're not going to save the planet for free. It doesn't work that way. So they cost money. They're going to have some impact, but always juxtapose them and compare them to what happens if we stay on fossil fuels. How much is that going to cost society? How much are we going to pay for that? How much nature are we going to lose? And how much are we going to lose? Climate change is impacting Long Island right now. You open up the paper, you see it. On every way. Sometimes it's just expanding tick season where people are going to get more Lyme disease. Yes, it's also the big thing, sea level rise. I read in the newspaper today that we should expect another active hurricane season. 17 storms are projected to come up the East Coast. Oh boy, can't wait for that. So climate change is happening. Climate change is real. I want you guys, as this is a youth summit, but we really do. And I started out saying this. I'm going to end on saying it because he's holding up a 0. I don't think he means I'm a big 0. I think he means I'm out of time. But your voice matters. And even if you just went to a public hearing on wind or a public hearing on anything, climate change, and said why you're concerned as a young person in this country and in this state of New York who lives on an island that sticks out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with its vulnerabilities all over the place, that you want it to be addressed. And please don't fall for the opposition's misinformation campaign about offshore wind. Now they're attacking solar, and they're really pushing fossil fuels and nuclear. And for our position, this is my position, my organizations, we do not support nuclear. We do not. There are some environmental groups that do. I understand and respect that we have different opinions. But we don't feel that creating a waste that's going to last for the next 20 to 40,000 years is really something that we can ethically and morally justify. We think there's better ways to do it. One of those ways is wind. I'm going to take off this very unpleasant comment from this crazy woman. We call her now Crazy Kramer. But my point to you is, please educate yourself about this issue. This issue will not solve itself. We need your voice. We need your passion to protect the earth, and we need your dedication. So if you can do nothing else but raise your voice and sometimes show up to a rally, those things do matter. Every elected official, of which we have many in the room. Hello, County Executive Ed Romaine, everyone. Very good environmentalist too. But elected officials notice when people show up. It says something without saying something. So again, get up, show up, and speak up, because the earth isn't going to do it by herself. Thank you very much, everybody.